Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and in this episode we're going to get Harry ready for the engineer. Alright guys, well I actually, I didn't get it on film, but the engineer actually came out a couple of days ago and we tried to take Harry out and do the brake tests and stuff, and it just wasn't running properly. I have looked at the logs and gone backwards and forwards with Adam at Link in New Zealand, and I actually have a dodgy plug on the cam angle sensor. Basically, all of the plugs on this engine, almost every plug, basically you clip all the pins on and then clip the pins into the back of the plug. The one plug on the cam angle sensor is the only one that is different, and for some reason that one you're supposed to put all the wires through the plug, put the clips on and then pull them back into the plug to clip them in. I didn't do that. I tried to force them in from the back and it's never actually had a very good connection. I've tried messing around with it, and it also happens to be sort of hidden behind the heat exchangers on the exhaust, so it's very difficult to get to. So I thought I would kill two birds with one stone and solve my big running issue, because the car is just running inconsistently because that signal keeps dropping out. The ECU is having a heart attack, and basically I need to sort it out. So I'm going to get the car up on the hoist, take the exhaust off, and while I'm there has been an oil leak that's been bugging me, so we can do two things at once. Alright, so I've dropped the exhaust here, and you can see this nasty oil leak, and I haven't been able to get to it because it's been coming from this fitting here, and with the exhaust on there is no way to get to that to tighten it up. It's just a loose fitting, but that's enough to make a leak and make a hell of a mess on the hot exhaust pipe, so that's not a good thing. So now that's off, I can get to that, and then the cam sensor is, if you can see just up in there, it's been unplugged. That's the plug there for the cam sensor. There's a mangled terminal in the middle of that. That's yeah, that's my issue. So that's going to come off. New plug's going to go on, and hopefully we'll sort out my issues. All right, well I managed to get in. I've tightened this nut up a whole bunch more. I'm hoping that's enough to stop that leak. And I've also gone up and I've replaced this clip up in here for the cam angle sensor. It was very hard to film, so I didn't bother getting in there. But I'm hoping that should have fixed the bulk of my main issues now. So let's bolt this back up and see what else we need to fix. Alright, so now I've fixed that cam trigger sensor, I need to have another go at cold starting it, take another log file, send it off to Adam, and let's see, hopefully it runs a little bit better, because when the engineer came out the other day, it was intermittent, it was running nice and dropping out all the time because that signal is dropping out, everything is up in the air. So let's give it another go. Beautiful! Wow! No throttle. Okay, when I hit my foot on the throttle, it jumps to 2000 RPM. That's working so much better. What a difference a good plug makes. Basically, as soon as I turned the key, no throttle necessary, it just kicked over. The first time when I gave it a blip of the throttle, it died, but the second time I started it, started on the key, no throttle, just sat there and idled nicely, and then I could give it a few blips of the throttle. So that is a huge win. It is running so much nicer when it's cold than it did before. And it's quite cool at the moment. It's still probably 6 degrees Celsius, something like that. So it's pretty cold. That's a big win. So we've got it running better. We've got the that leak. I actually did that yesterday. I left it overnight. It's still leaking. I need to get myself a big spanner. I think it's about a 36 mil nut. My shifter is too big to get in there. I might need to actually make a spanner that will fit that exact port, but the leak is less now. It's smaller, but it's still leaking. All right, moving on from last week. Many of you will have seen that I had my shifter coupling that I broke because I was trying to push out the pin in the wrong way. I realised what I needed to do as soon as I broke it, but that was too late. But anyway, one of the patrons, who's also a mate, Terry, was a legend, saw my troubles and actually sent me his old shift coupler. He's upgraded to one of the newer, sportier ones, which is possibly something I'll do in the future. But for the time being, I'm going to take this one and push the pin out and put it in my car so I don't have a broken shift coupler. Yay! So the way you should get it out is to clamp this end into the vise and then knock the pin out. So you're only pushing against that the piece the pin is actually in. And that's the mistake I made. I held onto this bit and then the bushings can flex and the whole thing dies. So let's change the bushings, put it back in the car, and then hopefully we have some better shifting. All right, well, I changed the bushings up the front as well. The bushing that runs along the shaft in the tunnel, so much easier than the equivalent bushing that I did in my Beetle a while back, because in the Beetle, that shaft, you have to take the entire shaft out, whereas this one, you just have to take the coupling off the base and press a new bushing. The old one had completely disintegrated and gone, so definitely needed it. It is much, much tighter now than it was before. It's still a 915 gearbox. It's still not the most precise thing out there, but it's much better. All right, the next thing I need to have a look at is my wipers do not work at all. So I'm not sure what it is. The window washer does work, so the arm works. So I'm going to have to try and look up the wiring diagram and see if I can work it out. All right, so I've done a little bit more research and I found that I can actually get the wipers to work. I found a ground wire that wasn't connected to the motor itself. I connected that up, and at least while I was using it, when I connected it up and turned the ignition on, the wipers were going all the time. But I just started randomly pulling wires that plug into the wiper motor, and by pulling out the center red white wire, I now have working wipers, but they don't park themselves. So on my wiper switch, there is off, there is low, high. I'm not sure what the third setting is for. Is it super high, or is it supposed to be intermittent? But either way, I now have slower, faster, nothing, but they don't come back and park. So I'm thinking that is possibly the issue. For the time being, I'm going to leave it like that because it means I have wipers. I have to park them manually, but that's better than nothing. If you guys know what my issue is, please let me know in the comments. I would definitely like to sort it out, but I at least have wipers. That is another tick. Okay, well that was a lot of messing around for sorting out just a bunch of little tiny bits and pieces, but I'm basically ready now for the engineer. Everything works. The only couple of things I still need to look at, obviously parking those wipers, getting the wipers to park. There's obviously an issue there, and I'm not sure what it is at this stage, but they're working, and if at the worst issue is that I have to actually make them park in the right spot, that's not a problem. I've sorted pretty much everything else out. I need to get a new speedo cable, which I ordered because I've broken the old one, so the speedo's not working, but everything else is pretty much on point to get this car on the road. So it's just a matter of waiting for the engineer to be able to get some time to come back and we can get it going. So, all right, well, if you're enjoying these videos, as always, like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Join us on Porsche Parts by Jeff. Check out the app and compare prices there. All right, guys, see you next time.